The practice green at Bay Hill was buzzing with Saturday morning energy when someone noticed Rory McIlroy wasn't doing his usual routine. He went straight to the range instead of putting first, hit a few balls, then stopped. Within minutes, the news hit, and the golf world froze. McIlroy, the defending champion at both the Players and the Masters, had withdrawn from the Arnold Palmer Invitational with back spasms. It's only the second time in nearly 2 decades he's pulled out of a tournament. With the Masters just weeks away, fans are asking the same question: how bad is this really? But what happened next, the decision McIlroy made behind closed doors, has everyone questioning whether we'll see him at Augusta at all. Subscribe for the full story of the injury scare that just rocked the PGA Tour. March 7, 2026 started like any other tournament Saturday at Bay Hill. The Florida sun was warm, the crowds were filing in, and Rory McIlroy was preparing for his third round with the kind of quiet focus that's defined his career. He sat at 4 under par, tied for 9th, just 9 shots behind leader Daniel Berger. A weekend charge was possible, the tournament was still in play. But something felt off from the beginning. According to Golf Channel's Brentley Romine, who was monitoring player preparations, McIlroy deviated from his usual routine. Instead of starting on the putting green, he went straight to the range. For a player as meticulous as McIlroy, any change in routine raises eyebrows. What happened next raised alarms. McIlroy hit balls for only a couple of minutes before making the difficult call. Later, a statement would explain what went wrong. While warming up in the gym this morning, I felt a small twinge in my back. As I started hitting balls on the range before the round, it worsened and developed into muscle spasms in my lower back. Unfortunately, I'm not able to continue and have to withdraw. The timing couldn't be worse. McIlroy was scheduled to defend his title at the Players' Championship next week at TPC Sawgrass, one of golf's most prestigious events. More importantly, the Masters looms just weeks away, on April 9th through 12th, where McIlroy will defend the green jacket he finally captured in 2025 to complete the career Grand Slam. As McIlroy got into his car to leave Bay Hill, a reporter asked if he was okay. He gave a thumbs up and said, "All good." But the golf world wasn't convinced. For a player who has built his reputation on toughness and reliability, this was only his second PGA Tour withdrawal in a career spanning nearly 2 decades. The first came in 2013 at the Honda Classic, when he walked off mid-round citing severe wisdom tooth pain. This was different. This was the back, and back issues have a way of lingering. As Rory McIlroy drove away from Bay Hill with a thumbs up and those 3 reassuring words, "I'm all good," the golf world exhaled. But only slightly. The immediate crisis had passed, but the question everyone was asking hadn't been answered. What happens next? For the next 48 hours, silence. McIlroy retreated to his West Palm Beach home, just a short private jet hop from Sawgrass, and disappeared from public view. No social media posts, no interviews, no updates. The man who usually fills every silence with thoughtful commentary suddenly had nothing to say. Then, on Monday morning, the decision came. According to multiple sources close to the situation, McIlroy spent Sunday undergoing extensive evaluation with his medical team. Back specialists, physiotherapists, and movement experts all weighed in. The verdict? The spasms had subsided, the muscles had relaxed, but the underlying vulnerability remained. The good news is this isn't a disc issue or a long-term structural problem, one source explained. The bad news is backs are unpredictable. What flared up on Saturday could flare up again at any moment, especially under the kind of pressure he'll face at Sawgrass and Augusta. McIlroy had a choice to make. He could push through, trust that the spasms were a one-off, and defend his Players' title starting Thursday, or he could take the cautious route, prioritize the bigger picture, and potentially sit out the biggest weeks of his season. For a player who has built his career on toughness, who played through the 2023 Tour Championship with back issues and still finished 4th, the decision wasn't easy. "I might have been able to gut it out," McIlroy had told reporters as he left Bay Hill. But gutting it out at a regular tour event is one thing. Gutting it out when you're defending two of the biggest titles in golf is something else entirely. The choice he made would tell us everything about how this 36-year-old version of Rory McIlroy views his career, his body, and his place in history. Monday arrived with the golf world still on edge. Rory McIlroy had withdrawn from Bay Hill on Saturday, citing back spasms that wouldn't go away. He'd driven back to his West Palm Beach home, a short hop from Sawgrass, and disappeared from view. No interviews, no social media, just silence. The defending Players champion was scheduled to face the media Wednesday morning at 7:45 a.m., but as of Monday, no one knew if he'd even make it to the course. Then, late Monday afternoon, the news broke. According to multiple sources, McIlroy met with his medical team Sunday for extensive evaluation. Back specialists, physiotherapists, and movement experts all weighed in. The verdict? The spasms had subsided, the muscles had relaxed, but the underlying vulnerability remained. The good news is this isn't a disc issue or a long-term structural problem, one source explained. The bad news is backs are unpredictable. What flared up on Saturday could flare up again at any moment, especially under the kind of pressure he'll face at Sawgrass and Augusta. McIlroy had a choice to make: push through and defend his Players title starting Thursday, or take the cautious route and prioritize the bigger picture. For a player who has built his career on toughness, who played through the 2023 Tour Championship with back issues and still finished fourth, the decision wasn't easy. But this time, the calculus was different. "I might have been able to gut it out," McIlroy had told reporters as he left Bay Hill. But gutting it out at a regular tour event is one thing. Gutting it out when you're defending two of the biggest titles in golf is something else entirely. By Monday evening, the answer came. McIlroy was committed to playing the Players. He would be at Sawgrass. He would defend his title. The decision was made. But the question everyone was really asking hadn't been answered. What about Augusta? The Players Championship is one of the biggest events in golf. A $25 million purse, a stadium course that tests every aspect of the game, a field that includes the best players in the world. For any golfer, defending that title would be a career highlight. But for Rory McIlroy, it's not the biggest prize on the horizon. The Masters is. Augusta National, the green jacket, the tournament that defines careers and cements legacies. McIlroy waited 14 years to finally capture that jacket, outlasting Justin Rose in a playoff to complete the career Grand Slam. Now, just 33 days after his Bay Hill scare, he's supposed to walk to the first tee at Augusta and defend it. That's the question hanging over everything. Sources close to McIlroy describe a player who is confident but not cocky, optimistic but not naive. The back spasms have subsided, the muscles have relaxed, but the memory of that Saturday morning at Bay Hill, the twinge in the gym, the worsening pain on the range, the difficult call to withdraw, is still fresh. He knows his body better than anyone, one insider said. He's been through enough injuries to understand that backs are different. You can't just tape them up and hope for the best. You have to be smart. The plan, as of now, is to treat the Players as a test. 4 rounds at Sawgrass will tell McIlroy and his team everything they need to know about whether Augusta is feasible. If the back holds up under the pressure of competition, if the spasms stay away, the green jacket defense is on. If not, no one wants to think about that possibility. For now, McIlroy is focused on the immediate task. The Players begins Thursday. He'll be there, he'll compete, and the golf world will watch every swing, analyzing every grimace, holding its collective breath. Because 33 days later, the real test begins. The Players Championship is over. Rory McIlroy made it through all 4 rounds at TPC Sawgrass, defending his title with a performance that reminded everyone why he's one of the greatest of his generation. The back held, the spasms stayed away, the golf world exhaled. but the road to Augusta is just beginning. McIlroy now has 3 weeks to prepare for the Masters, a tournament that has defined his career in ways both painful and triumphant. He arrived at Augusta in 2025 as the best player without a green jacket, carrying the weight of 14 majorless years on his shoulders. He left as a champion, finally joining the exclusive club of players who've completed the career Grand Slam. The expectations this year are different. He's no longer chasing history, he's defending it, and that brings its own pressure. "The confidence I gained from last year is huge," McIlroy said after his players' victory. "But every Masters is its own challenge. The course changes, the field changes, the conditions change. You can't rely on what happened last year. You have to go out and earn it again." His team has mapped out a careful preparation plan, limited practice rounds, extra attention to recovery between sessions, a focus on maintaining the strength and flexibility that allowed him to play through the back issue at Sawgrass without incident. "He's learned that less is more at this stage," one source said. "He doesn't need to grind for hours on the range. He knows his swing. He knows Augusta. The key is showing up fresh and ready." McIlroy will arrive at Augusta National the Sunday before the tournament, giving himself 3 full practice days before Thursday's opening round. He'll play the course, study the conditions, and prepare the way he always does, meticulously, methodically, leaving nothing to chance. The back will be on everyone's mind, but McIlroy insists it won't be on his. "I'm past it," he said at Sawgrass. "It was a scare. It was a warning. But I listened to my body, made the right decision, and here we are. I'm healthy, I'm ready. That's all that matters." The road to Augusta is paved with questions. McIlroy has provided the only answer that counts. He'll be there, and when he walks to that first tee on April 9th, the golf world will be watching. For more coverage of the biggest stories in golf, subscribe and hit the notification bell.